This is the first part of the story, A Grim Lesson, for chapter 26 of Ecce Romani. I'm going to do this in two parts just because it is long. This is part one. I'm going to pause throughout, ask you questions, and I'm going to read it aloud to you, although I would appreciate it if you follow along in your book as I read aloud. So, to get started. Eucleides et pueri iam domum redierant. Post canam Cornelius et Marcus et Sextus in atrio sedebant. So, the first word that I want you to think about is that word in line 1, domum, knowing that it is fourth declension. What case is it? And what number? You should have come up with that it is accusative singular. And our translation would be Eucleides and the boys. Now they had returned to the house, domum. After dinner, post canam, Cornelius and Marcus and Sextus, they were sitting, sedebant, is imperfect, in the atrium. Moving on. Quid odie vidistis, pueri, inquit Cornelius. Think about the tense and number of vidistis. You should have discovered that it is perfect and that it is second person plural. So, what did you see today, boys? Asked Cornelius. Nihil nisi aedificia antiqua, responded Marcus. Nos in urbem exire volimus soli, cur non licet. So, a couple of vocabulary words here. Nisi means unless or except. And here it's going to mean except. And solely, as you should remember from early on in Ecce Romani, solus means alone. We get our word solo from this solitary. And here it's describing the boys together. They want to go out alone, so it's plural. So lines 4 and 5 are translated as Cornelius asked Marcus what they saw today, and Marcus responded, nothing except old buildings. Responded Marcus. We wish, volimus, to go out, exire, in the city, in urbem, alone, solely. Cur non licet, why is it not permitted? So in line 6 on, Cornelius answers. Cui Cornelius, est periculosum sine custodiae exire in vias urbis. Sunt multi homines scelesti qui bona civium arripiunt. Non numquam hi homines cives ipsos necant. So here, consider first the first word of line 6. Cui. This is a relative pronoun in the dative case. And it means to whom. So it's basically saying to whom Cornelius said or responded, So it's talking about Marcus. Then we have a couple of new vocab words. Sine, which you have seen before, which means without. And custodes, which here we see as custode. Oh, excuse me, that is a U. And with, so sine is a preposition without, which takes an ablative, which is custode here, without a guard. From the word custode, we get our English word custodian, and custody, things like that. I also want you to think demonstrative pronoun, huius, here, which is in what case? Pause for a second and look that up. You should have come up with the case here is genitive, singular. So, meaning of this. So you have in the streets, huius urbis, in the streets of this city. So it is dangerous without a guardian to go out in the streets of this city. Now, take a look at, in the next line, there's the phrase bona civium. Try to figure out the case and number of each of those two words for just a second here. Pause the video, case and number of bona and civium. Note that bona is right down in your vocab. It is a form of the adjective bonus, bona, bonum. It is actually not feminine, though. It's neuter plural. And here it's used in a way that we call substantively. So it's a substantive adjective. And what that means is, think of the word substance. Instead of being an empty adjective or an adjective that's describing some other noun, it takes on the property of a noun all by itself. So you can think of the phrase the good, the bad, and the ugly, where those are talking about good, bad, and ugly people. Here, bona, neuter, is talking about good things. Or you could even just think of it as goods. So material possessions, bona, and then you should have come up with civium is genitive plural. So the goods of citizens. So that second sentence could be translated as, there are many men. Scelesti means wicked. So there are many wicked men who snatch Aripion, the goods, bona, of citizens. Civium. Moving on. Nonnum quam iomines cives ipsos necant. So, nonnum quam is down in your list of vocabulary, meaning sometimes. And now we have another demonstrative pronoun, e. And it goes with homines here. What is its gender number in case? Take a second to figure that out. You should have come up with, it is nominative, it is masculine, and it is plural. So, meaning these who, these men, these homines, nonnum quam, sometimes they kill, necant, ipsos cives, those very citizens. Pretty serious stuff here. Moving on to line 8. Vobis igitur non licet, sine custode exire, iam serest, nunc necesse est vobis cubitum ire, nolite cesare sed ite statim. So the grammar that I'd like to draw your attention to here is the word ite, which is command. It means go. Um, so for a translation, therefore, you are not allowed to go. It is not permitted for you to go out in the city without a guard, or just to go out without a guard. Excuse me, there's no city there. Now it is late. Jam sero est. Now it is necessary for you, vobis, to go, ire, to your room, cubitum. Do not delay. It is not permitted for you to delay, but go, ite, at once, statim. Now we actually see the infinitive of this verb, ire, in which means to go, in the same line at the beginning of line 9, and we're going to see several other iterations of that verb as we go on in this story. We're actually going to see one in the next line. Let's go. Pueri labore Dei defesi, simulac cubitum ierunt, ob dormiverunt. So, what is the case of Dei? And what is the case of labore? Pause for a second, figure that out. You should have come up with Dei as a member of the fifth declension is in the genitive, singular, and labore is in the ablative, singular. That's third declension. Remember, it's labor, labores. So the way that this works here, the boys, tired, defesi, by means of the work, labore. That's the ablative of manner that we saw in chapter 24. So tired by means of the work. The work, what work? The work of the day. Tired by the work of the day. They went to ierunt, so that's another form of that verb, ire, which we saw. They went to their room, and they, or as soon as they went to their room, simulac, they fell asleep. Ob dormiverunt. Alright, continuing. Post redie mane Marcus in lecto suo jacebat, et de circo maximo ita cogitabat. Quando circum maximum visitabimus, cur pater meus nos ex ire vetat. Let's stop there. So that's lines 11 and 12. On the following day, in the morning, Mane, Marcus, in his bed, in lecto suo, was lying, jacebat. And of the Circus Maximus, thus he was thinking. So he was thinking about the Circus Maximus. These are his thoughts. When will we visit visitabimus, the Circus Maximus? Why does my father, pater meus, vetat nos ex ire? He forbids us to go out. Now moving on with the end of line 12. Eri nullos homines scelestos in urbe vidi. Inter diu certe pradones nobis non nocebunt. Meum patrem, quod est senator Romanus, praedones tement. Nihil periculi est. So what I want you to think about in terms of looking at some vocabulary words here, nocebunt, which you will notice is down in your vocabulary for line 13. And I want to see if you can find the dative that goes along with that there. And I also want you to look at the tense of, I want you to look at the construction nihil periculi. So take just a minute to do that. All right, so the first sentence that we have there, eri nullos homines scelestos in urbe vidi. Yesterday, no evil men, nullos homines scelestos, I saw in the city. Yesterday I saw no evil men in the city. Marcus is thinking to himself. Inter diu means in the daytime. Certainly, certe, the robbers, praedones, they will not do harm. Oh, where are we? So, nocebunt is future, and it's they will do harm, but here it's they will non nocebunt, and this takes a dative, and your dative is nobis. So they will not do harm to us. Now, take a look at meum patrem. What case is that? You don't need to pause. It's the accusative case. So it's not the subject of this next sentence. As a matter of fact, to find the subject, we're going to need to go almost to the end of the sentence to find praedones. Praedones tement. The robbers, they are frightened of my father, meum patrem, because he is a Roman senator. Now, when we're talking about this construction, the nihil periculi, that's going to be one of our partitive genitives. Nothing of danger there is. So there's no danger. Moving on. Brevi tempore, ut Marco videbatur, pueri ad circum ibant. Mox molem ingentem circi maximi Marcus conspicit. So the phrase ut Marco videbatur, that's down in your vocabulary there. As it seemed to Marcus, or as Marcus thought, that's fine. If we were to literally translate it, we might do it in a passive way. So it was seen by Marcus. So in a short time, as Marcus thought, the boys, they were going, that's that verb ire again, to the circus. So soon, Marcus conspicit, Marcus saw the huge mass, the molem ingentem, of the Circus Maximus. So now, line 17, ecce clamavit Marcus, est circus, cum intraverimus tandem arigas ipsos spectabimus. Look, shouted Marcus, it's the circus. When we will have entered, at last, tandem, we will see the charioteers themselves, arigas ipsos. So the boys are about to arrive at the Circus Maximus, but something happens suddenly. So stay tuned for part 2 of this video, a grim lesson. You can find it on YouTube today. Have a good afternoon. Pueri labore die defesi simulac cubitum ierunt.